Welcome back to our journey through human history. Today, we're stepping into an era that laid the very foundations of Western civilization, Classical Antiquity. Spanning from roughly 800 BCE to 476 CE, this period gave us democracy, philosophy, epic literature, and monumental engineering. So let's dive into the world of the Greeks and Romans. Our story begins in ancient Greece, a land not of a single unified kingdom but of fiercely independent city-states, or polis. Think of places like Athens and Sparta. This decentralized structure was a hotbed of competition and innovation. Each city-state had its own government, its own army, and its own unique identity. This rivalry, while often leading to conflict, also spurred incredible advancements in culture and politics. And nowhere was this more evident than in 5th century BCE Athens. Here, a radical new idea took root: democracy. For the first time in known history, citizens had the power to directly participate in their own governance. This wasn't a representative democracy like many of us know today. Eligible citizens literally gathered to vote on laws and policies themselves. This political freedom coincided with what we now call the Golden Age of Greece. It was the era of the great thinkers, the intellectual giants whose ideas still echo in our lecture halls and courtrooms. Socrates walked the streets of Athens, questioning everything and everyone, pushing people to examine their own beliefs. His student Plato explored concepts of justice and the ideal state in his famous writings. And Plato's student Aristotle systematized logic, studied the natural world, and tutored a young man who would go on to change the world, Alexander the Great. But Greece wasn't just a land of philosophers. It was a land of warriors. In the early 5th century BCE, the Greek city-states, often at odds with each other, did something remarkable. They united to face a common enemy, the colossal Persian Empire. Against all odds, in legendary battles like Marathon and Salamis, the Greeks repelled the Persian invasions, securing their freedom and their unique way of life. This unity, however, was short-lived. The two most powerful city-states, democratic Athens and militaristic Sparta, soon turned on each other. The result was the devastating Peloponnesian War, a conflict that lasted for nearly 3 decades. It tore the Greek world apart, leaving the city-states weakened and vulnerable, paving the way for a new power to rise from the north. After the Peloponnesian War, Philip II of Macedon conquered the exhausted Greek city-states. His son, Alexander, inherited not just his father's kingdom but also his ambition. In a breathtaking campaign that lasted just over a decade, Alexander the Great marched his armies across Persia into Egypt and as far as India. He didn't just conquer lands. He spread Greek culture, language, and ideas wherever he went. When Alexander died suddenly in 323 BCE, his vast empire fractured. But his legacy was the Hellenistic Age. This was a vibrant new era where Greek culture fused with the cultures of the Middle East and Egypt. Great cities of learning like Alexandria and Egypt became centers for science, mathematics, and literature, preserving and expanding upon the knowledge of the Greek Golden Age. This fusion of cultures created a rich, cosmopolitan world that would set the stage for the next great power. As the Hellenistic kingdoms vied for control, a new city-state on the Italian peninsula was quietly growing in power and influence. This was Rome. Originally a small monarchy, Rome overthrew its king in 509 BCE and established a republic. Power was now in the hands of elected officials called consuls, who were advised by a powerful body of elders known as the Senate. The Roman Republic was defined by 2 things: its sophisticated legal system and its relentless military expansion. Roman law established principles like innocent until proven guilty that are still fundamental to many legal systems today. Militarily, its highly disciplined legions conquered the Italian peninsula. Then, Rome set its sights on its great rival across the Mediterranean, Carthage. The struggle for dominance, known as the Punic Wars, was a series of epic conflicts that saw Carthaginian general Hannibal famously cross the Alps with elephants. In the end, Rome emerged victorious, becoming the undisputed master of the Mediterranean. But the Republic's success came at a cost. The vast wealth and territory gained from conquest led to immense social inequality, political corruption, and a series of brutal civil wars. Ambitious generals like Julius Caesar used their loyal armies to seize power, ultimately leading to the death of the Republic. From the ashes of the Republic rose the Roman Empire. In 27 BCE, Julius Caesar's adopted son, Octavian, was granted the title Augustus, becoming the first Roman emperor. His reign marked the beginning of the Pax Romana, or Roman peace. For the next 2 centuries, the vast empire stretching from Britain to Mesopotamia enjoyed a period of unprecedented peace, stability, and prosperity. The Romans were master builders and engineers. They constructed an incredible network of infrastructure that tied their sprawling empire together. Over 50,000 miles of paved roads made travel and trade faster than ever before. Massive aqueducts carried fresh water to cities, feeding public baths and fountains. And, of course, they built iconic structures that still inspire awe today, like the mighty Colosseum in Rome, an amphitheater that could hold tens of thousands of spectators for gladiatorial games and public spectacles. It was within this vast, interconnected empire that a new faith began to take hold. Originating in the Roman province of Judea, Christianity started as a small, persecuted sect. But its message of hope and salvation resonated with people across all social classes. Despite periods of intense persecution, the faith spread along the Roman roads and trade routes. In a stunning turn of events, Emperor Constantine converted to Christianity in the 4th century CE, and it eventually became the official state religion of the empire. But even the mightiest empires eventually fall. By the 3rd and 4th centuries CE, the Roman Empire was facing a perfect storm of crises. Its economy was crippled by inflation and excessive military spending. The empire had become too large to govern effectively, leading to political instability and a constant cycle of civil wars. At the same time, immense pressure was building on its frontiers. Waves of Germanic tribes, themselves pushed by groups from further east, began to migrate and raid into Roman territory. The empire was eventually split into 2 halves, an Eastern and a Western Empire, in an attempt to make it more manageable. But the Western Roman Empire continued to decline. Finally, in 476 CE, the traditional end date of the empire, the last Western Roman emperor, a young boy ironically named Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by a Germanic chieftain. The fall of Rome marked the end of classical antiquity, but its legacy is immeasurable. The Greek ideas of democracy and philosophy and the Roman systems of law, engineering, and language have profoundly shaped the world we live in today. They are the bedrock upon which much of modern Western thought and society is built. Thanks for joining us on this exploration of classical antiquity. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into history. Let us know in the comments which historical era you'd like to see next. See you in the next one.